Good morning. Is there anyone online? I'm just doing a sound check if you can hear me.
Morning, Niels.
Morning.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, very audible, sir.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Okay. Thank you. Morning, I can't hear any audio. Is anyone speaking already?
Mr. Niehaus. No, no one is
Morning.
speaking. The chairperson
Okay.
is.
No, I just saw the agenda appearing on the screen, and I thought perhaps I'm not hearing what is being said. But thank you, appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good morning and goeiemorgen, sanbonani molweni, abusheni nda.
Recording in progress.
Morning, Chairperson.
Morning, Honorable Chair.
Guten morgen, honorable members. Good morning to the Secretariat. Good morning to the support staff from the executive. Good morning to everyone present in our meeting today. It's a virtual meeting. I hope it's going to be faster than physical meetings so that we give you a chance to prepare for the sitting this afternoon today. But let me take this opportunity to welcome everyone in the meeting, our honorable members of the executive, the minister and deputy ministers, the members of the committee, the staff members, and everybody. Once again, you are more than welcome. Today, we're not going to be in a normal business process. We'll just deal with issues at hand. We have the agenda before all of us, opening and welcome. Apologies, because there may be slight changes in the agenda. I would like us to put under 2.1 the adoption of the agenda after apologies. Then we'll start with our normal items, briefing by DMV on the remedial actions, briefing on the status of the DMV Internal Audit capacity, departmental responses, consideration and amendment of the second term program, consideration of the minutes and closure. I would like us to amend the following items because the Honorable Minister has requested that she should leave our meeting early because she has to catch a flight on some of the government programs outside the country. We thought that will allow them to respond to issues that the committee has raised in the past and issues which they can update us on. I know in the last meeting there was a request even by Honorable Hala that the executive must take us into confidence in relation to the withdrawal program of the DRC. I'm sure today they will get an opportunity to update the committee so that we are all having the same understanding of the process. I'll now go to item number 2 before I go for consideration and adoption of the agenda. Any apologies from the Secretariat?
Chair, Minister, members, and deputy ministers. There's only one agenda from Ms. Mutambi. She's busy with the magistrates in the magistrates court for the whole of the month. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, no problem. I think that is the apology is received of Honorable Mutambi. If she's in the magistrate courts, we can't say no. the apologies received, and we'll then move to the adoption of the agenda. I thought that we start with item number 5 as item number 3 and do the consideration of the agenda in that order, so that we allow the executive to brief us. If there are any issues, we also allow them to leave the meeting early as requested by the Honorable Minister. I'm not sure, can we get the move on?
I move for the adoption of the agenda, Chair.
With that amendment?
With the amendment, Chair.
No, thank you very much. Can we get a seconder?
Chair, I'll second that.
It's seconded by Honorable Hatton. Okay, thank you very much. Can we then move to allow the Minister to update us as the committee? Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Chair. And let me also acknowledge members of the Portfolio Committee and also acknowledge the officials that are there. And thank you very much, Chair, for also allowing me to be able to disconnect earlier, because I have a midday flight, unfortunately, so I have to leave. So thank you very much for that. So, Chair, without taking too much time, Deputy Minister Mkongi is there. I'm not sure if Deputy Minister Holomisa is there, but Deputy Minister Mkongi is responsible in the department for DMV. So even if I've disconnected, we will expect him to continue the meeting. So, Chair, with your permission, because I heard you saying that you also would want to just get an update of the DRC matters, and I can also provide a written report, but I had not planned for it now. But let me speak and then commit that I will ask the office to email you a report, but can also send you our press statement around what is happening in the DRC. So can I start with that, Chair?
No problem, Honorable, you can proceed.
Okay. No, thank you very much, Chair. Chair, as you are aware that on the 28th of March, there was an agreement between SADC and the East African community that there would be a phased withdrawal and a phased introduction of the negotiating team after an agreement had been brokered for peace process between the DRC and Rwanda, but also between the DRC and also getting the DRC to accept M23 as a force that they have to negotiate with. And that was very crucial in the whole peacemaking process, because what was delaying all along is that DRC and Rwanda were unable or unwilling to engage, though they will not say so on international platforms, but the other one would attend the meeting, the other one would not attend the meeting. And fortunately, different players came into the fore, including the United Nations, but also other countries like Qatar, which have good relationships with both countries, were able to intervene and make sure that both countries were willing to talk to each other. The other stumbling block, which had been a very sticking point for a long time, it was also the DRC unwillingness to engage with M23, despite the fact that M23 had indicated that they are willing to engage with them. And with the insistence of some DRC, DRC finally agreed. With the insistence of SADC, DRC finally agreed to sit around the table with M23, which really paved a way for a much more stable ceasefire. And on that basis, then there was an agreement of the phased withdrawal, which would have started on the 28th of April. Yes, the 28th of April, following the agreement in March. Where we are currently, there were lots of surveillance which had to be done to say what is the best route. The initial preferred option was to leave from Goma Airport, but it became quite clear that the cost and the time of fixing Goma will delay the withdrawal. So Summit DRC and African Eastern Community engaged with Rwanda that there will be a passage from the DRC through through Rwanda into Tanzania, where all the other troop contributing countries will lift up their people, including their equipment. So the equipment will come through the sea. It will end up in Bloemfontein, but it is going to be, it will go through the sea up to Durban Harbour, and then will be transported from there. Personnel will some of them will go through the sea, but in the main, they will be airlifted from Tanzania. So the process has started after lots of delays in surveilling the safety of the area. And now on last week, Friday, I got the information that from the Chief of Defense that they are comfortable about the safety of the routes. Unfortunately, the roads that they travel with are not always tarred, so they're very difficult roads to travel. So it's taking longer than anticipated. But the first group has already arrived in Tanzania to prepare for the arrival. So there would have been the first force of 67 soldiers that were transported in 13 trucks, and they had to clear the way and go and establish a receiving base in Tanzania. So, and that was the latest that I had on Friday. So after establishing that base, then there'll be phase a withdrawal, because trucks have to drop others, go and pick up others, drop others. And they say that the terrain is very rough because the roads are very bad. So as I said, Chair, because I had not necessarily prepared for this, I could send you, even before I leave, the latest report, which you could share with the team, if that is allowed, because as I say, I had not prepared a full report, but that's the scanty report, but I'll give you details which really constituted the press briefing. Why we went to the press briefing early after we received the report on Friday, there were lots of distortions, and we thought that with wrong propaganda going out, we might as well as give the public, especially South Africans, the correct perspective about what is happening, which is still not a complete case, but the withdrawal has started and the phasing in and the lifting will start. And as soon as the first group arrives, it's going to arrive also in our demobilizing center in Bloemfontein. We will also inform the committee that the first batch of soldiers has arrived. But for now, we're still between Goma and Tanzania, with the path having been cleared for safety and for a smooth transporting. Chair, with regards to the presentation that we're supposed to do today, Chair, yes, indeed, the CFO and the acting head of department will give you a brief, Chair. We've tried, and as I think you'll see from the brief, I don't want to preempt the brief, is that our remedial action is informed by what the AG had instructed us to do. And on a regular basis with the Deputy Minister, we're engaging with the department to see where the difficulties are. And Chair, I must admit upfront, as you will see from the report, that the department is still struggling, and greatly so. And I don't want to give excuses, but it's still struggling to get its act together. We were supposed to fill in posts for all the vacant posts as we had committed. As soon as because you can't advertise management posts without DPSA. As soon as I made the request to apply to advertise posts, DPSA said, pointed to the fact that our department's structure was a temporal structure which has not been aligned in terms of public service systems. Then we were required to really do a proper organizational design so that the structure that we will be advertising for, it will be a structure that is approved. So the structure that we have is not an approved structure, it's a temporal structure. So they only allowed us to advertise for the head of department, because in any department, there will be a head of department and the job descriptions will be generic. So that's the only post that they've advertised. So there is a process between ourselves and DPSA to do a proper organizational design, which will enable us to do work. In the meantime, I then made a request to the Deputy President to say, whilst we're already following government processes that we have to advertise, I made a request that we should have a transversal team, which will include even people from outside, to do some of the basic important stuff that we have to do, your disciplinary matters, your finance matters, but also to really look at the policies that are unaligned and not compliant. The Deputy President has given us support. We are busy now with the process of establishing a transversal team to assist the department in turning around other things. So by the time we put in people in place, there must be a clear plan. But also, as we do these government processes, the work is not suffering. So, Chair, I don't want to give too many excuses, but I thought I should say those few words. And with your permission, Chair, ask head of department to get the CFO to give you a report in terms of what is on the agenda, and then say at any time, Chair, if I switch off, it's not out of disrespect. It will be because I have to leave, as I indicated before. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I thought that I would allow members of the committee, maybe, if they ask for clarity before you leave, they do it now, so that when we proceed with the head of department and the CFO, at least we could have had or benefited from clarity from yourself. I'm not sure from members of the committee, is there any clarity-seeking question to the Minister?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'll raise my hand.
Okay, you are welcome.
Thank you, Chair. I want to thank the Minister for giving us this very short report about what is happening with all of our troops from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I obviously acquainted myself with the press briefing that was given last Sunday, and actually the Minister did not share anything more with us than what was already said in that press briefing. Now, I appreciate that the Minister was not expecting to be asked to do such a briefing today, but on the basis of her proposal that she will give us a written briefing, I really would like to express the hope that that briefing, obviously within the parameters of what is proper with intelligence and security issues and protection of the safety of our troops coming back from the DRC, that more information will be shared with us, because the paucity of information is a serious concern. I also propose, Chair, that once we receive that written briefing from the Minister, that we will engage again as a committee with the Minister to be able to raise our concerns and questions that may flow from the presentation of the Minister. So what I propose is we receive the briefing from the Minister, and that we then create an opportunity to be able to engage with the Minister and her team about the content of that briefing. This is a very, very serious matter, Chair. The safety of our troops are paramount, and so is also the return of the mission critical equipment to make sure that not a single piece of armament is left behind in the areas where those arms had been deployed in the DRC. So that is my proposal. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. That was a good proposal, so that we note the presentation by the Minister and await a full report. I will give now to Honorable Shelembe. I see your hand is up. Over to you. Also, just say whether you second the proposal or what, so that we move forward.
No, thank you, Chair. No, I second, the proposal. But I'm not sure. Am I still audible?
Very much so.
Oh, no, thank you. I'm just checking with the minister, as you say now. I mean, the withdrawal is sort of, kind of in groups. Maybe if she comes back, with the report, if she can give the final, the time frames as to when we can expect the final arrival of our soldiers, in the country. I know it might be difficult, but just a time frame, at least to have a picture, and also maybe to also, give, the total number of, soldiers that we are expecting to come back. No, otherwise, I'll be happy when she comes back with that information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Shelembe. I think this helps us to get a way forward. So, Minister, will await the report from your side as a department of all those requests of the final withdrawal and the program of the withdrawal. Then I'm sure it will help us to take us forward. But so far from the committee, we are happy with the work that has been done to ensure that all the soldiers who are still in DRC, they come back home. It gives us hope as a committee and a hope as a nation that everyone is still safe and alive and would finally arrive at home. I would now proceed to the next item that has to do with the briefing from the DMV. As outlined by the Minister, the acting DG and the CFO will now have to take over. Over to you.
Good morning, honorable members, honorable chair, DMs, minister, and colleagues. Today we'll be presenting to the portfolio committee our audit action plan, which is a response by the department to issues and findings raised by AG in the audit of 2023-24 financial year. Equally, we'll be presenting the capacity of internal audit in the department, and both presentation will be done by the CFO. With that, Chair, please allow me to then hand over to the CFO. Just to indicate as well, Chair, that we within the department there is a participation of the chairperson of the audit committee, Ms. Sonjani. She is participating in the discussion, and the reason for that is internal audit functionally reports to the audit committee and administratively reports to the department, and that is the reason why we felt we should then invite the chairperson of the audit committee. With your permission, Chair, CFO, please present the two reports. Thanks.
No problem. That the chairperson of the audit committee is here. Maybe at some stage we'll get an opportunity to update us on their capacity, but it's the next item. So we'll give over now to the CFO as requested by the acting DG.
Thank you, Chair.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, Minister, Deputy Minister, and colleagues. I will take this opportunity then and take the portfolio committee through. Firstly, we will begin with the performance against the audit action plan by the Department of Military Veterans Chair. I'm trying to share the presentation, Chair. I don't know whether it's visible from your side. Chair?
No, it's not yet visible. Can you share with our team? We have our champion, Ms. Nandipa. Share it with her so that she can share it with us. all the time, everything that we see, it's through her.
Thank you. It's been shared with Parliament Chair.
Okay.
Let me
Here
confirm.
here is it. It's okay. We can see it.
Thank you so much, Chair. Just to take you through the process, Chair. The audit action plan, AG would have then presented what we call a management report to the department. A management report is a very detailed document after AG has performed their audit. And once then the draft has been shared and agreed with management, then AGSA will then prepare the audit report. The audit report is the one that is presented to the minister as well as to the portfolio committee. But the audit report is just a summary of what we call a management report. Then a management report consists of all issues that were raised by AGSA throughout the audit process, Chair. So for the department then to prepare a remedial action, we will use what we call annexures to the management report because it contains all the findings that were raised by AGSA. So the presentation then, Chair, and the remedial action that we have shared with Parliament is informed by the content of what we call a management report, Chair, and its annexures. I thought that is important so that you understand the level of detail that is involved in preparing this presentation, Chair. Thank you. The slide number 1, Chair, and members, is mainly about the presentation. Today is the 7th. We are required then to brief the portfolio committee. Then if we move on to the purpose, Chair, the purpose, as already indicated, Chair, we are here to brief the portfolio committee about the performance on our remedial action, Chair. Thank you. Next slide, please. In this slide, Chair and members, we are summarizing the performance. Where you see a green, it's where issues has been remedied at 100% and concluded. And I must say, Chair, this work also was then subjected to our internal auditors, who was at the time a service provider that was appointed during the year under review to then assist the department with capacitation, but we'll talk to that at a later stage. However, what we are reporting in this report, Chair, has already also been validated by our internal audit services. So basically, in summary, Chair, if we look at this slide, it will indicate what has been implemented and what was still in progress as of today, Chair. Just to confirm, Chair, the approach, we then looked at all the items that has an impact on the audit opinion. And hence then we said, due to the current capacity constraints, as Minister has indicated, what is it that we can then be able to address before the new audit, so that then even the issue around the audit opinion are addressed. So basically, as you can note, Chair and members, we are reporting a 51% conclusion of items. 51% equates to about 38 communication of audit findings from the total of 74. What was still in progress, Chair, is 36 items, which equates to 49%. In this same slide, Chair, at the top horizontally, We then are summing up the items per each unit within the department. At the top, you'll see that you've got finance. Within finance, there were 33 items, of which 18 items were concluded. What was still in progress was 15 items. And the same applies with all other units, including corporate services, socio-economic services, empowerment and stakeholder management, internal audit and risk, and Office of the Director General, Chair. If we move to the next slide, then the next slide, Chair, is mainly then an indicative where we were indicating that we had still had 36 items that were in progress, which equated to 49%. Then we were now depicting the level of completion. As you can see at the bottom section, the bottom quadrant, you will see it ranges from 100% completion, 80%, 60%, and you will note that almost everything had already been started. I must indicate, Chair, that there was only 2 items that were still sitting at 20%. Those 2 items were mainly items around the organogram, because it was still at its infant stage now, Chair, as well as there was also a funding against the usage of G-fleet vehicles, where the department was found not to be compliant with the current policy, Chair, and then the department was in the process of reviewing the policy as well as the standard operating procedure. So in summary, Chair, that's where we're at. In the next slide, if we can move to the next slide, please. So basically, we are then, Chair, reporting in terms of the main issues that were identified by AGSA, probably that contributed to us obtaining a qualified audit opinion. If we can recap, Chair, 2 areas were qualifying the department. It was unverifiable, movable, tangible capital assets, which was a new area of qualification. Then there was a repeat qualification in terms of incomplete disclosure of irregular expenditure. Then to find immediate solutions to these 2 main areas of qualification, Chair, beginning with unverifiable, movable, tangible capital assets. Presently, Chair, we do not have an asset management unit within the department. In order then to resolve this issue permanently, we then requested the AG to approve us to utilize services of an external service provider, Chair. They commenced with the work around January. To date, the verification, because we are doing this process in stages, the verification process is complete. It's mainly about them then doing quality control of the verified assets. And they had done about 80% of matching the inventory with the items on the asset register. There's already a list of all assets that are missing, which then management is then reviewing to find the reasons of why these assets are missing. But I must state, Chair, there will be a lot of assets that will be missing because this type of an exercise has not been done since the department was incepted. So in line with this exercise, Chair, we have targeted the 21st, around the 21st of May to have concluded, because when we submit the annual financial statements to the Auditor General for audit purposes, as well as to National Treasury, we must have then disclosed properly the information about the assets of the department. So that is the status, Chair, of the progress. We are confident then that what the disclosure note in the annual financial statement will be properly constructed, and it will be complete. And if we move to the next slide, please. Thank you. The issue around the incomplete disclosure of irregular expenditure, Chair, I think we have done our best to address it. Before I take you through the progress, Chair, you will recall that we had mentioned at some stage that we intend to also rope in the SIU, Special Investigative Unit, Chair. Because there are still areas where we are not finding comfort. You will recall, Chair, that AG has issued material irregularities to the department. However, for a material irregularity to have occurred, something must have happened. And due to the current capacity, mostly investigative capacity, will be residing within internal audit, Chair, which we don't have. And hence then we said, let's rope in the SIU, because SIU will be able to sanitize, investigate, as well as follow up to conclusion and recovery of money should there be findings of such. So basically, we have engaged Chair and members, the SIU. They have responded to say they acknowledge our request. We have met with them, and then we await for their response in terms of the way forward. So in terms of the current irregularities, Chair, as per the AGSA records, they had a value of 6.5 million of uncorrected misstatements. So we have then engaged AGSA. We have dissected in details all of those items making up the 6.5 million. In our view, Chair, we are now convinced that we have addressed all those issues fully. However, AG then has asked us to then give them a narrative report in terms of the process that we had followed to identify all irregular expenditure over and above the 6.5 million. So basically, at the moment, Chair and members, we are finalizing that report so that AGSA can then conclude on this matter on irregular expenditure. And next slide, please. There is also an issue, Chair, where AG was picking up what they call material misstatements. Material misstatements may occur within the financial statements as well as with performance information, Chair. Maybe to begin with the financial statements, Chair, there was material misstatements around the disclosures on payables and accruals, which then the department had resolved before AGSA concluded the audit report. But however, what causes these material misstatements in many instances is the fact that we are paper-driven, Chair. Our processes are involving paper. You will recall, Chair and members, when you provided an oversight in the department, you had seen lots of papers, lots of boxes. Then to remedy this issue, Chair, because we do not have proper storage facility within the DMV environment. We have then appointed a service provider who will digitize all the papers in the department and index them so that it's easy and papers are held electronically. In addition to that, then all the papers that are already in the department will be stored in their facilities, Chair. So this is part of the cleanup exercise that we are doing. And hopefully then it will address any other issue that relates to record keeping. Because in some instances, AGSA, when they request files, those files are not easily obtainable. But whenever something is digitized, so it's easy to recall using the service provider. And then there were other instances, Chair, mostly on the contingent liability side. Two issues. One was coming from the amount that we owe the Department of Defense. There are instances where we had a query on a claim and we will then dispute that claim 100%. But however, using the modified cash standard basis, Chair, AG then made the funding to say no. What we are stating as a contingent liability should be then classified as a provision. So we have then made that correction. If you look at quarter 3 draft interim financial statements, that correction is already in place. As well as we had issue of misstatement due to that legal matter involving a healthcare service provider, where the issue was deemed to have been resolved 100%. However, due to the matter taken back to court, AGSA then made the finding that we should have still disclosed that amount. So we have then made that correction as well, Chair. And hence then the issue of misstatements, we are hopeful then it will have been resolved when we finalize the current annual financial statements. And next slide, please. Chair, I will take the report as read, Chair. I would have liked to take the members through the detailed action plan, but I think we have then covered, or in summary, all the matters, the critical matters that we have then dissected in the detailed audit action plan, Chair. With your permission, I will request that I move to the next presentation on internal audits. With your permission, Chair.
Why is it quiet now, Chairperson? Or is it my gadget?
No.
Am I audible now? Am I audible, Chair?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. May I proceed? Thank you. Chair and honorable members, this is now a presentation on the status of the internal audit unit within the Department of Military Veterans. And next slide, thank you. This is the presentation outline, Chair. We will have a slide which gives the as-is status, which is based on the current organogram. We will then move to the slide where we have applied some interventions to dissect and provide additional capacity. And then we will then provide a conclusion slide. Thank you so much. And as again, Chair, the purpose is to provide a briefing on the current status of internal audit within the department, and mainly focusing on the current capacity challenge. Chair, thank you. Next slide, thank you. Chair, before I then take you through this slide and honorable members, let me then just refresh our minds. The department has an organogram which has 169 posts. As at the 31st of March, we had around about 43 vacant posts. While we had vacant post, Chair, we also had what we call contract workers. The contract workers were informed by the fact that the department on itself, it's got a mandate. And if you look at the basic organogram, for instance, for administration, there are posts that are prescribed by the DPSA and National Treasury, but the current structure does not have any of those. And hence then the department ended up also bringing in contract workers just to then augment the capacity based on the current organogram. And hence the issue of realignment of the DMV organogram is of utmost critical, Chair. Then zooming back, Chair, to the current organogram of internal audit specifically. Just to recap, Chair, the unit has 4 funded posts. They are as follows. You have a director internal audit, post level 13, which is a director level. That post is now vacant. Then you have a deputy director internal audit, presently at level 12. And that post is filled, but the incumbent does not work within internal audit. Then there is a deputy director risk management, which is vacant. It post level 11. Then there is an administrator post at post level 6, and that post is vacant. If you look at this current structure, Chair, it contradicts Section 38 of the PMFA, as well as the Treasury Regulation 3, which then states that the accounting officer must establish a system of internal control, and which should be well capacitated. So the above is an obvious contradiction to that requirement. That also then is also informed by the high vacancy rate in the department, Chair, meaning that the department will continue to suffer until the organogram is reviewed. So that is the current organogram structure and the current structure of internal audit. And maybe then we move to the next slide, Chair, because the next slide will confirm what management has done with the advice from the audit committee, Chair. So having identified the present capacity challenges, Chair and members, the audit committee then recommended that we augment the current structure, and the immediate solution was then to appoint a service provider who will then provide immediate capacity to the department. We must remember, Chair, that at that time when the audit committee commenced its work, we were already in the cost containment directive, which was then implemented by the DPSA, where we could not be able to easily fill vacant posts. Therefore, the service provider was appointed for a period of 6 months, which was going to end around the 12th of December of 2024. However, that contract was subsequently extended to 31 March of 2025 without cost, so that then we allow the auditors, the service provider, to conclude work that was then contracted for, which was informed by the internal audit plan. I must then report, Chair, we have in our possession their audit work in the form of all audit reports. And I also indicated when I was presenting the audit action plan that they also validated what we were reporting today, Chair. The department as well has since advertised a bid to appoint a service provider for a period of 3 years, Chair. If we move to the next slide, please. The idea, Chair, because at some point a decision must be made whether we co-source or outsource or in-source, Chair. So the current strategy then is to co-source. Cost sourcing means that we must fill the current vacant posts while we still have the service provider, so that we ensure that there is a well-informed output from both the internal capacity as well as the external capacity. However, the strategy then is to then finalize the organogram so that then we fully insource in internal audit, Chair, without placing reliance on any service provider, because managing service providers at some point in time becomes a nightmare because they are money driven rather than output driven. That is the strategy, Chair and members, going forward. Then in conclusion, if we move to the next slide, Chair, we as management and the audit committee, we note the current capacity challenges within the DMV, as well as in line with the overall organogram capacity challenges. So it is important then for the department to move with speed in terms of the organogram renewal. That will then ensure that the internal audit capacity is also then addressed. And all of these should take immediate effect, Chair. That will be the end of the presentation, Chair. I don't know whether ADG, through you, Chair, wants to add anything.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think at this point, if you allow just to augment or to support the presentation by CFO, if we may allow the internal audit, as I've said, functionally, internal audit reports to audit committee and only administratively report to the DG. Thank you very much.
So can I get it clear, DG? You may allow the chair of the audit committee to come in.
Please, if you allow it, Chair.
No problem. It will be a pleasure for us as the committee also to be introduced to the chair of the audit committee. We have not seen her, we don't know her, and the committee. It will be good that we know them. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Over to the chair of the audit committee.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to everyone. Mine is to speak from the view of the audit committee.
The We have not seen you. Can you please, in the whole meeting, it's only you that we don't know. Can we kindly, with due respect, see your camera?
Okay. Thank you. That is me, Chair. Thank you. Can I then switch off the camera for quality?
No problem. You can switch off the camera. We just wanted to see who's talking to us.
Okay.
We are a
Okay,
security.
thank you very much. Sorry, you were saying?
I was saying we are just a portfolio committee of defense. We deal with security, so we sometimes have to see our operatives. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. From the point of view of the audit committee, when we came on board, there were already findings from AG about the fact that Fs were being submitted without the review of internal audit. So we then looked at the capacity that was there, and there was one person, and at our at our induction, sorry, we were told that for more than 3 years, there will be no report from internal audit.
Sorry, Chair.
Yes.
Sorry, Chair. What is it that makes difficult for you to show your face to us?
I did
Please
show my face, but I said for quality, because on my screen, it's saying that upgrade for best experience. So it is about the quality of, but I can have it on. I don't have a problem with that. But if there is a problem with the quality, then you can just shout, then I will switch it off.
No problem, you can proceed.
Thank you. So when we came on board, as I was saying, we were told that this person actually reported to us as the audit committee that for more than 3 years, there'd been no report from internal audit, 1. 2, there'd been no approved audit plan. There'd been no assessment by the Institute of Internal Auditors. So we worked around this and said, can we then, because this person had actually been given a service provider because of the problem within internal audit of capacity, but even that service provider, they failed to manage that. As a result, the contract had to be terminated because they had not done any work. So we tried around with the idea of having him as the person that coordinates our functions. But even with that, there was a problem with even setting up meetings for the audit committee, and no minutes were being provided. So our view was that there is no capacity within internal audit, and we asked if there was any capacity that could be requested from the department. Apparently that had been done, and with no luck. So our view was that the best thing, because we're facing a financial year end, and we needed that level of assurance, that third level of assurance from internal audit, that we were not going to go into a year end and submit Fs that had not gone through review from internal audit. Hence the decision to then outsource internal audit. So because of time pressures, the decision was that as a stopgap, let's have a 6-month contract while working on the 36-month contract. So the audit committee was actually involved in even coming up with terms of reference, because there was a gap that was also identified within risk, so that the terms of reference that were given to the service provider even included risk, so that that area as well was actually covered. So there was an audit plan from the outsourced internal audit that was approved by the audit committee, and they performed according to that, and were happy with the work that they were doing. Now, until the 31st of March, we had that outsourced internal audit. So we are now working, or management is working on the 36-month contract. However, the view is that there should be capacitating of internal resources. Hence, the plan now to cost was, but the immediate plan is to bring in an outsourced internal audit while we're building up capacity internally. So that is how we've gone about the issue of internal audit. Thank you. I think I am done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the chairperson of the audit committee. We will now, I'm not sure from the executive, whether the minister or deputy minister, they wanted to say something before we asked members to pose questions to both reports. Anything from the minister or deputy ministers?
Chair, not from my part, and in the next minute, respectfully, can I get off the platform?
No
but
problem.
I don't have anything to add, Chair.
Okay, thank you. You are allowed.
Thanks,
Apologies.
Chair. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, then we'll allow the members of the portfolio committee to ask questions. Honorable Hateng, Honorable Niehaus, Honorable Shelembe, Honorable Khotani. In that order, Honorable Hateng, you can start.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I must say that the presentation, specifically the second one, is a bit confusing. And well, I think every one of us will recall that we actually visited DMV, and that there were 3 people who claimed to be part or have been part of the Internal Audit Committee. One of them spoke, I think he was Mr. Motlale. And amongst other things that he said, and he said a lot of things, he also indicated that the internal audit function has been dysfunctional and been undermined since 2016. So I would like to get clarity on this. What is exactly going on there? We had the slide. The slide indicates, and while it was presented, we were told that the Director Internal Audit's position is now vacant. I would like to know for each one of those positions, how long have they been vacant? And that's the first question. I would like to know the Deputy Director Internal Audit, why is he working somewhere else and not with internal audit? And then for how long, exactly how long has this unit, the internal audit, been dysfunctional? We were told a date of 2016. I can't believe that. Then, yeah, just on the issue of, we can spend a lot of time on this. I would like to know, there is no a double structure being put in place, and these positions in the internal audit will be advertised. So there will be a double structure running, which is being, what do they call it? There's a specific word that was mentioned of how this will work, but no mention is made of the cost. So there is some additional costs, and what we see now also is that the outsourced, the contractor will be appointed for 3 years, while we are going ahead with advertising the position to be filled in the internal audit. Why would we run concurrently two structures for internal audit? Is it because we can't appoint the correct people, or are there hidden problems that we are not being told about? I would like to know the contracted internal audit. The state, what is the cost, and whether proper procurement procedures were followed to get to that situation. Chair, then while we have the audit chairperson, the audit committee chairperson here, I would also like to know whether there's oversight from the audit committee on the contracted internal audit service provider, and whether the deliverers are being met according to the approved internal audit plan. How often was this oversight done? And then I must ask the chairperson of the audit committee. We know of a prolonged period of dysfunctionality of the internal audit. What has been done, and what recommendations has been done by the audit committee to resolve this issue? And I don't know exact dates, but a date of 2016 has been mentioned. I would like to get some clarity on that, please. Chair, I would conclude with that, but before I conclude, I had a previous, some months ago, I had some input on the way the questions are being handled in this committee. And I've also put some evidence of this on our group. I would like to know whether we are going to continue in the same, must I say, dysfunctional system, or are we going to allow questions to be responded to before we move on to the next question? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Hatton. Your points are noted. I'm sure.
Chair, I put a direct question to you. Can you say how we are going to continue?
Okay, no, I'll come back to you now. Let me just go on the list. I'll answer you during the reply session.
Obviously, Chair, then we are going back to the old system, which is dysfunctional. I'm sorry. I think we are wasting our time here.
Okay, no, we'll answer you. There's no problem. Can we go to Honorable Meerhouse, Honorable Shelembe, Honorable Khwekani, Honorable Nontenja, and Honorable Hala in that order? Then we'll come up with answers after that. The department can prepare. I'll also prepare answers from my side. Over to you, Honorable Meerhouse.
Thank you, Chair. I'm very concerned about both the reports that we received. Let me start off with saying that I'm concerned that the Acting Director General, Ms. Mafu, introduced these two reports because I do not believe that she is competent to do so. She should not be involved in this process because she's got a serious conflict of interest. Recently, a report in detail came into the public domain, the Nexus report, which previously had been suppressed as a so-called confidential report, which seriously implicated Ms. Mafu in maladministration and corruption in the Department of Military Veterans. Therefore, she should not be involved in this process because she's got a very clear vested interest. Secondly, I'm concerned that we receive a report on the internal audit by the Chief Financial Officer. This is an anomaly, Chair, because the Chief Financial Officer himself should be controlled and should be given a second check-up on the work that he does by the internal audit process. I asked myself why the internal audit manager, Mr. Churchill Mufamadi, who has apparently been put on this strange concept of step aside, was not allowed to present the report on the internal audit. Chair, I put it to us as a committee that the dysfunctionality of the internal audit committee is deliberate, and it has been managed and led by the acting Director General of the Department of Military Veterans in order to protect herself and the mismanagement of her cronies in the department. When we were on our oversight visit to the Department of Military Veterans, we had some of the whistleblowers who spoke to us. Some of these whistleblowers are in the Internal Audit Committee. Among those who addressed us was Ms. Portia Tindisa, Deputy Director, Cost and Management Accounting. She has been put on step aside. As I've already said, Mr. Churchill Mufamadi, Internal Audit Manager, who should have presented the internal audit report to us today, once again on step aside. These are whistleblowers. These are whistleblowers who have taken concerning maladministration and corruption in the Department of Military Veterans, also to the Auditor General. And as a consequence of their whistleblowing, they have been pushed aside on this strange step-aside concept. I thought step-aside was only something that the African National Congress indulges in, but here we have it in the Department of Military Veterans. So, Chair, this situation cascades itself through the National Office of the Department of Military Veterans, and it cascades itself further into the various provincial offices of the Department of Military Veterans, where there are also whistleblowers who are being forced to be placed on step aside. Now, strangely, Chair, one of the issues that is referred to in the Nexus report, and which the Director Internal Audit participated in providing information to the Nexus report, was the so-called suing project, which seriously implicates the Acting Director General. This matter had been taken to the Meyerton Police Station on the 1st of August 2021, and the case had been opened. Strangely enough, Chair, this case has been swept under the carpet. Absolutely nothing had been done about it, dololo. And when I made further inquiries about the case, I had to find out that, strangely enough, this case has now been shifted to Tembisa in the Vaal, while the matter was opened at Meyerton Police Station. There are serious irregularities. There are serious criminal issues that need to be addressed. But they get covered up by the deliberate creation of a dysfunctional internal auditing committee, and the internal auditing committee members who are trying to raise serious concerns are being pushed aside, are being placed on this strange step aside. That is why we are told now that there has to be an outsourcing of a company to carry out functions of the internal audit. But strangely enough, Chair, we are not told who this company is. And I demand that we, as a portfolio committee on defense and military veterans must be given the detailed information about this external company that has now been insourced in order to be able to do the work. So they're making use of an outside company, sourcing it into the department, and therefore it's an outsourcing disaster. And secondly, Chair, I've got a serious problem that we also have an external company that has now been appointed to trace all the missing assets. Once again, they do not share with us who this company is. We demand the details. There's a third outsourcing disaster that is happening, and that is the company that they are now giving the contract to do the digitization of records of the Department of Military Veterans and also of the various applications from military veterans for the military veterans database. I believe that we could be in contravention of the POPIA Act with regards to this outsourcing disaster. And once again, we need to be told who these companies are. Because the only thing that the Chief Financial Officer said to us today that was of any worth is that these companies that they outsource privately this work to are mainly interested in money, and we need to know where the money flows. We also need to know if there are members of the Department of Military Veterans who are involved with these companies, who have possible ties with these companies, and who are benefiting from the appointment of this outsourcing process to these private companies, because the internal ability and functioning of the Department of Military Veterans is deliberately undermined. And that is why we have this disaster. Lastly, Chair, the devil is always in the detail. The reports that we received from the CFO are generalized. They tell us that 51% of the issues raised by the Auditor General has been addressed, and that 49% is still in the process of being addressed. What we need is, as a committee, a detailed report of every one of those issues that have been raised by the AG, the level of progress that is being made in addressing those issues, who is responsible within the Department of Military Veterans to do so, and specifically my concern, are some of these issues that the AG had raised now being outsourced to private companies to try and deal with it, and aren't we creating even a further disaster by this outsourcing model in terms of introducing new opportunities for corruption? Chair, I summarize. What we received today under the auspices of Ms. Mafu, the Acting Director General, is illegitimate. Ms. Mafu does not have any standing to be overseeing this process and present these two reports to us. The presentation on the internal audit should never have been done by the Chief Financial Officer, because it is a contradiction in terminus. The internal audit is also there to oversee the work of the CFO, but he reports on it. And lastly, Chair, we must stop this nonsense of outsourcing in the Department of Military Veterans, and we must proceed on a process of making sure that the internal function of the Department of Military Veterans is restored. That can only be restored, Chair, by removing the current compromised acting Director General. It can only be restored by making sure that serious information that had been brought to the fore and had been covered up, such as that contained in the Nexus report, and criminal charges that have been brought against the Acting Director General and other members of the Department of Military Veterans are dealt with, and that we get clear answers on it. I demand that we must get a report in detail about the Nexus investigation. We must get a report about what has happened with the charges that have been brought against Ms. Mafu at the Meyerton police station. And we need to get a report about why the members of the Internal Audit Committee, and I mentioned their names just now, have been placed on step aside, and therefore we get told by the CFO, who's got a vested interest to bring this story to us, that there is no capacity in the internal audit. The lack of capacity in the internal audit functioning in the department is deliberately created by victimization of Ms. Mafu and her cronies, making sure
Thank you, Honorable.
that those who bring evidence against her, I'm concluding, Chair, by making sure that whistleblowers are actually being victimized. We, and I conclude with this finally, Chair, we as this committee have a very important function and role to protect whistleblowers also. We allowed some of those whistleblowers to speak during the oversight visit, but the consequence of them having come out and spoken is now that they are even further victimized. And we gave an undertaking during that oversight visit that this should not happen. We've got a moral, ethical, and organizational responsibility to address these issues and to make sure that whistleblowers are not victimized, and make sure that criminals do not stay in charge of the Department of Military Veterans in order to protect their own wrongdoing and cover up. Because what we were presented here with today is a disgusting, generalized cover up. And I think we need
Good morning. Good morning.
I can hear you.
We can
All right.
hear you.
All right. We can now go to the next speaker.
Okay.
Next question. All right.
Yeah. No. Thank you, Chairperson. I think Honorable Chris Hatting has covered me and some of the questions. Maybe will be just, to add on something. I think the first thing, Chair, that is concerning within the DMV, it starts, with their headquarters offices in Pretoria. I think maybe, Chair, after our visit, you noticed that, the offices there are not conducive to ensure, to allow them or make it easy for the DMV to execute its mandate, which is to satisfy the need fully, of the military veterans. So, in those offices, I think it's going to take time, and we'll be, talking about this thing maybe for years. I can say with those offices there, the department cannot fully unroll the benefits of the deserving military veterans. That's a thing that one must look at. The space, what I would like, to know, Chair, from the acting Director General, that there was sort of a move to get, offices that were going to be conducive and make it easier for the department to unroll the benefits. I just want to know, because I think almost 3 or 4 years that was said, but to date, one is not getting, the progress on that. If maybe one can be informed, what is the latest in regard to the, getting, the offices that will be conducive. You know, if also, Chair, you look now when it comes to the risk management. Yes, there is that. There is a vacancy for the risk management deputy director. I'm not sure if the director in place is doing something on that, because those offices are risky. To the asset as well as the records of our military veterans. Maybe if the acting director will update me on that, whether that move is still on or they have changed their mind and decided, to stay in those offices right in Pretoria. And then, as I said, Chris Hutting, has covered in some. I would like, when it comes to the issue of, the 43 vacant posts, that, how long, those have been, but adding that, they are saying they have the contract, workers are in place. I just want to know if they are saying the contract workers, what type of a contract, or and if they can elaborate the contract duration of those, people, considering that they want, to ensure that these positions are filled up. What's going to happen with those contracts? But just to see what is the contract duration. Is this not, the cause of the delay to employ, the permanent people in those 43 posts? Chair, another thing that one must look at, the issue of incapacity. To me, it relates to having staff establishment that is not having the people to execute or perform the duties. To me, it's like just a framework in place, like with no windows and no doors. That is just a frame. Because now, if the purpose of the staff establishment was to meet the demands of the military veterans, I don't think, the department or the minister must allow that we have the vacancies that are old as like maybe 5 years or 6 years. If you look, at the issue of this critical position, it's not something that is new to this committee. Even the previous committee was talking about this critical position to be filled up. And now, even now, if you look the issue of the Director General, the former Director General Arin Polweni, I think, resigned, early last year as like March or somewhere there. But now it's almost, 12 years having that, position, not filled. The question now, where is the delay? Is it delay in the side of the minister? Why now, if the minister can delay that position, automatically, when it comes to those critical positions under the Director General, nothing is going to happen. It's very, very worrying if you look on the issue of the internal, audit, status, that we're talking about, yes, they can't, do the work. What has been done? And this is disturbing because this has happening under the watch of many ministers. It is not just now of the current minister. Even the previous minister of defense was talking about this thing. Even I think even the former speaker of parliament, Mapisa, was the minister talking about these things? Now, until when the ministers will be allowing that and not providing the solution in the department? How do you call this thing? Yes, we are blaming, I mean, the management by failing to do the work. But at the end of the day, who is responsible? Who is in charge? And what are they doing about it? No, Chair, I think we can talk maybe until, I mean, the sunset. But the point is, it's clear that incapacity is the problem. Failure to, I mean, to fill the critical position is the problem. And also the issue of those offices that, to me, are not conducive, I mean, to ensure that, I mean, the work is done. We can complain about the provincial offices. Now, if the headquarters is not in order, how can you expect the provincial offices to be in order? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Shelembe. I hear to supporting Honorable Harding on the outstanding responses from the minister. I've distributed a letter that I wrote to the minister and both deputy ministers on the 10th of April on our group, so that we can just go through that. I hope the two deputy ministers will answer at the end, because I would like to make a ruling on that when we come to the end of the meeting, so that we agree, maybe as a portfolio committee, that all outstanding responses, the minister and two deputy ministers will have to answer us in the next committee meeting. We'll give them the whole day to answer us on all the questions that has been raised by members in the portfolio committee. We have outlined those questions to them. We have written to them on a number of occasions. Our last communication with them was on the 10th of April, and all those questions have not been answered until today. So I'm sure we'll have to get a response from them at the end when we get feedback from the department. Honorable Nontenja, over to you.
Hi, Chair. It's me.
Person.
It's Honorable Khwekana, Chair. It's Honorable Khwekana after Honorable Shelembe. That's what you said.
No problem. We can proceed.
Okay, Chair. Let Honorable Khwekana go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. You said it's me after Honorable Shelembe. Please.
No problem. You can proceed.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Chair, the status of the internal audit speaks on the capacity challenges at the DMV, with several vacancies, including the director for the internal audit, which is very concerning, Honorable Chair. I would like to find out how long this position has been vacant, what led to its vacancy, and how far has the process gone in terms of filling the vacancy. 2, can DMV please explain this committee to this committee why it is that the deputy director of the internal audit does not work within the unit? He or she is supposed to be in the unit, but is not there, considering the capacity issues in this unit. And could they inform the committee where the deputy director currently operates at DMV, and how long will this arrangement continue? Because DMV cannot say they have deputy director when the position is in essence vacant. Chair. 3, the audit action plan touches on the 3.2 million regular expenditure relating to the procurement of a venue for MKMVA conference due to supply chain abuse by seniors at DMV. Please tell us who was responsible for authorizing this expenditure And are these individuals still employed by the DMV? When was this expenditure reported or detected? Chairperson, it is concerning that a case of abuse of supply chain process can take so long to be resolved. A transgression that occurred in 2021, and we are still talking about it today, and saying consequence management is underway. In 2025, surely we can do better. We can do better, really. The longer we have people who transgress rules and procedures for their own gain, we are tempting them to steal more. Really, Chair, we are tempting them to steal more because it is clear that they are thieves. They are really thieves, causing serious damage to the State Department. They simply cannot help themselves, and we need to help them to live a public service. Chair, if I may ask, when was the last conference of MKMVA? Chair, the DMV is misleading the committee in this issue of procuring the venue for MKMVA conference. Instead, the irregular expenditure was done for the MKLWV in East London, which is an illegitimate structure claiming to represent MKX combatants. They mustn't use MKMVA name in vain. They know where did they spend those resources. They mustn't use the name MKMVA. Number 4, Chair, you say that unidentified movable capital assets will be written off by 16 May. What is the value of these assets that will be written off? And please explain to us how this came to be. Is it a case of poor asset management, which after looking at the audit action plan, I believe that DMV has a serious issue. I mean, the department failed to maintain a mere inventory register. You cannot account, you cannot even account for tables. What consequence management will be taking? Really, I want to know what steps will be taken for this written off, considering the potential implications that will have and the department balance sheet. Number 5, lack of business support by DMV for military veterans through business facilitation program is equally to betraying the people who dedicated their lives to liberate the poor people of South Africa. Please clarify what is presented in the AAP. What is meant by there is no evidence of business support by the DMV? Because in one of the department's officials presentation on the 20th of November 2024, the department claimed to have supported 167 business owned by military veterans during 2023-2024? Kindly clarify to us. Lastly, there is a trend that I am picking up in these presentations of contracting service providers for areas which really should fall under the scope of competence of the department. Does this not pose a risk of giving up the work of the department to external stakeholders? Is it a competency issue where the department is not attracting individuals who have the skill set to undertake the work, or a lack by the department to adequately train and equip its staff complement? I mean, Chair, I mean, a government department cannot be run by external entities or parties, because then it is no longer really a government department in its true sense. We are turning a department into a private entity. That's my take, Honorable Chair. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Khwekane. Let me just go back to the list. I nearly made a mistake. My apologies. Honorable Khwekane will be followed by Honorable Nontenja, Honorable Hala, and Honorable Sokanyile. From there, the department will have to prepare for responses, but we'll start with the members of the executive in those responses. Over to you, Honorable Nontenja.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good day to everyone. Listen, after receiving the report that we are getting, I would like to start with the dysfunctional internal audit unit. I'd love to know how long this department, because we are given here something that talks to the vacant positions, but if you look at this, there isn't a single person in that thing. The whole unit, there's no one inside. And I would like to know, where is the deputy director working? It says it is filled, but the incumbent does not work within the internal audit. Where does this person work, and where does this person gets paid? And why is this person not working within the internal unit? Considering that the internal audit unit, it's one of those important units that give assurance to the Auditor General's office. So if we don't have an internal audit, and how long haven't we had this? Isn't that why the department is in this mess? Because if you look at the audit opinions of the AGSA's office, it tells you that this department doesn't know whether it's coming or going, the way they're doing things. But without that assurance that should be given by your internal audit to the AG's office, what else do you have that the department can rely on? Because the internal audit should be advising the management all the way before it gets to AGSA auditing. They should be saying, this is out, this is out, this is what you have to push in. What are you relying on? And what is this excitement about outsourcing? As I was saying, the report is scanty because it doesn't even tell us why are you on what you are doing now? Why are you outsourcing? You have outsourced, you even telling us without additional cost, and you're outsourcing. But are we going to get better results out of this whole mess that's going on now? But my understanding of the internal audit unit is that it gives assurance to the Auditor General. Once again, you want to go digital, which is fine. But why outsource? What's the obsession with outsourcing? Have you considered building internal capacity, considering the sensitiveness of the documents that you are working with there? Have you considered getting capacitation of your own internal people? The last one, Chair, is I would like us. I was looking at the way they are addressing the report or on the audit issues that were raised, which is we have to look at the graphs. I would like us to get a detailed report that says when you say 51% is finalized, what were those issues and how were they finalized? And the ones that are on progress, what were those issues and how far is that progress? We cannot just look at the graphs like preschoolers and you expect us to be satisfied, because even if you look at finance, it says 18 is done and 15 is not. But it cannot give you the percentage for that separately from the whole lot of the items that you are bundling together. You can see that the difference there is so slight, it's 3. But when it comes now to the final percentage of 51 and 49, you don't even know what makes up that. So we would like to the committee to be given the full report. We were, let me say, I was expecting the presentation of the action plan and the unpacking of the issues there, but whoever was presented decided against doing that, and the reasons were not given, except to say he's sure that we have read the action plan. But the action plan is something that is going to address all the issues that were raised in the audit report, which in this case, as the department, you have the management letter, which should be giving us a window to say these were the issues that were raised in your management letter that you are addressing, and that would give us confidence that the department is doing something. But at this point of time, I personally don't think we are getting that confidence. Chair, I'm glad to hear you saying we are going to get answers. I think we also have to move away on deferring the answers. The departments must respond in the committee. Otherwise, that hinders our oversight work, because these questions go forever and we never get the answers. It would be great if they are going to respond to our questions as of now. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nontenja. Honorable Hala, followed by Honorable Sokanyile.
Thanks, Chair. Good morning, Chair, honorable members, DMs, and colleagues. Chair, you gave Honorable Kwekane enough time to ask more than 7 questions. So I'll ask 17 questions from the department. Chair, you see, one finds it difficult to ask questions to the DMV officials because these questions that were raised by the previous speakers emanates from the reports that were presented as far back as August last year. And even today, we are still questioning them about the very same problems they have. With the service provider, whose contract ends 31st May, it's clear it started, it's a 3-month contract, if I remember well. But what is missing there is the amount of money that they are going to be paid. It's missing, it's not reported by the department. Chair, this free for all in the usage of government vehicles was reported again sometime last year, but up until now, nothing has been done. And I would just ask the colleagues to give us a reason why we cannot take action on this thing. The last question is, there's a new company that is going to be employed for 3 years. To me, it seems as if there's no urgency for the appointment or the filling of posts in the internal audit directorate. I don't know why is this happening. Rather than to appoint these officials, they prefer to appoint the service provider for 3 years. I think they need to explain this. Why are they doing this? Thank you, Chair.
Chairperson, can I enter?
No problem. In that order, Chief Whip,
Okay.
the leader. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Greetings to you, Chairperson, and greetings to the honorable members. Greetings to the deputy ministers that are here on the platform, and greetings to the officials of the department, as well as the portfolio committee administration that is here. Thank you very much, Chairperson, for affording me this opportunity, and thank the department for giving us a report. And greetings also to the Chairperson of the Audit Committee. Chairperson, it seems as if it's not well in the DMV. But if you are responding to the issues raised by Auditor General of South Africa, you are coming up with remedial action, and you don't have a person within the institution to assist the institution. I'm not talking about a person who will come looking for money and copy what is being done somewhere. That is a service provider. And it will come and make it a DMV issue, copy it somewhere. Because to me, that's my worry. For not us having a director in the internal audit, as it is said in the organogram. Then now, if we are looking at that, meaning that the internal audit that doesn't have a capacity, you have a deputy director where doing our oversight, he will hijack us so that we listen. And yet there's someone in the department. That one on its own, it means that there's something wrong somewhere because we didn't go for internal audit, but we had to listen to everyone. To me, it gives me a worry that when we are not there, what is happening in that department? Surely, as it is being reflected, he's roaming around. Then if you don't have the capacity and looking at the current issue, at the current interventions, whereby the contract of the service provider has been extended up until 31st March and then advertised, whereby it is waiting for the bid adjudication committee or to whatever committee so that the service provider will take a 3-year period. I just want to echo the words of the other honorable members, whereby they are saying that what is the financial implication of that? Comparing if we had our own person within the department that is having a head, because you leave out the deputy director, have a director. Because I was looking at the remedial actions of this thing, of the performance agreement, that is COF number 17, whereby that it is said the organogram will be, there was a dispute on the organogram, on the reporting lines, job description, warawar, then it will be rectified. Then also the Department of Corporate Services, of HR capability, it also have an issue about an organogram. Because to me, in one of the reports that were submitted into this committee, it was said that the post will be advertised. But now, if we don't have an organogram that is reviewed, surely, there is no employment that will be done for DMV. And yet DMV is lacking capacity. To me, can't you, acting director, fix quickly the issue of the organogram? Not have that service, but you have already done. It has gone a long way. A service provider that would have taken a year, because you're going to relax if you are outsourcing again. You are not going to advertise. That service provider will finish the 5 years and we won't be here, Tina. Our 5 years will come at an end with that service provider. Why this service provider was not given a year if we had an intention of employing chairperson of the audit committee? Because now we're in this mess in the DMV because we don't have the people who must perform their duties. And to me, we need to come up with a turnaround strategy for that department. And that department will stay, but they need to compliance of all the issues, starting with the staff that is working there, director, deputy director, who is the acting DG in that department, Mamumaf. Because to me, Ingati were just drilling or practicing in one platform, not moving. Because to me, if we can make it, I'm looking at the issues that have been raised and rectify the remedial action here, whereby the department doesn't agree with AG. It will say that it has performed that duty 100%. Because we're going to check, AG has started again. will check up these issues, whereby you are saying that you have agreed with AG. Because to me, if it's 100%, we mustn't see it in the AG's report again. Thank you very much, Chairperson. I'm not happy about our performance in the department.
Thank you very much, Chief Whip. I heard members raising serious concerns, which are valid. I think I will, just after my submission, I'll allow the DM to answer us on outstanding questions. We wrote a letter specifically to the Minister and her two deputies on the 10th of April. Some of the questions raised by members of the committee include what even we're discussing now. The filling of the vacancy of the Director General of DMV. I'm sure the executive will update us. How far is that process? The last time they were here in March or February, they told us that that particular poster is being advertised. By now, we're in May, going for June. We're supposed to have appointed or finished the interviews. But I'll give them an opportunity to answer us. I just wanted to ask a similar question as asked by Honorable Niehaus. In terms of what we call, I'm happy that the chairperson of the Internal Audit Committee is here. Is it correct for a CFO to present, or is it ethical for a CFO to present a report on internal audit work? Because a CFO is also subject to the authority of internal audit. Because internal audit is a unit that serves from the office of the accounting officer in terms of fiduciary responsibilities. So only the accounting officer or the chairperson of the audit committee can report on that work, list maybe the head of internal audit if there is one existing at the department. I think it's wrong supporting Honorable Niehaus on that matter, that there are fiduciary responsibilities in terms of auditing processes that needs to be respected and protocols. And I agree with the point of public service when they say your structure is destructured and disorganized. Because even how you report, it's a little bit disorganized. The second point is that in the presentation that you gave us, in terms of remedial actions, we don't get it how many queries were there in the management letter from the Auditor General of South Africa, and what is being done with each query, together with the AGSA Audit Executive. What is the program that we have with Audit Executive from the AGSA? How many meetings are planned to deal with how many queries to bring us, maybe if there are 300 to 0 of those queries, and the length, the period of which that task will be completed. Because maybe that we have an internal audit committee. They need to clearly stipulate to us the remedial actions, holding the whole administration accountable to bring answers to that effect. But I don't see it, and it gives me a problem because we are just jumping the gun. Even if we are to appoint a service provider for 3 years, what are the terms of reference for that service provider if we can't clearly tabulate our queries from the management letter, which we need to follow up, because those queries from the management letter needs to be the basis of our contract with the service provider we're about to appoint for 36 months to help us turn around that particular situation in our books, so that we deal with this matter once and for all. But the other thing is that you sound too defensive to can build progress in the work you're doing. You sound very defensive. And unfortunately, we are an oversight committee. We are not supposed to be wishy-washy on our work. We need oversight so that we can improve a department that is said to have been dysfunctional for over 12 years, 14 years, and that is responsible for benefits of the most desperate category of citizens in our society, military veterans, which some of them today are either sick or they can't help themselves based on a lack of income and revenue. So I'm not sure, do we have that agency and agility from the side of the department to help us deal with the situation? And I still want to insist on the request that was made by the committee during our inception last year. When are we going to go and make road shows, go province by province, so that we know we have met the beneficiaries of this department? This is the list. This is those who are verified. This is those who are outstanding. And this is the progress that is going to be done to verify others so that everybody can get their benefits. But in how we are, 14 years later, we are still at an infant stage where we are still wishing. We have not even started work. And this gives us a worry as a committee, because we made a commitment as this committee that when we rise, all these things must have been done. And we are now finishing a year in 2 months' time. And there's no progress. It's a year, full year, productive year, that we did not move an inch to correct the DMV. So at some point, you need to make an indaba. You must also tell us from this meeting, when is your indaba to turn around this department fully, get everybody under one roof, get programs and proper answers on some of the issues we are raising, so that we don't come back every now and then as if we are shouting you, as if you are delinquents who can't listen. We don't want that relationship. We want this relationship to improve one day, to smile with a proper clean audit from DMV. I'll now hand over to members of the executive. Honorable DMs, over to you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Chairperson. First and foremost, I must inform this portfolio committee that I've been delegated to deal with issues at DMV. I must say that as I speak, I'm ashamed, but not here to. I've not been tasked this to defend the department. I've been tasked this to make, in particular, account to this portfolio committee on issues affecting the department. For now, I do sometimes ask myself whether the Department of Military Veterans is supposed to be a department or a project. There has been suspensions and suspensions after the other. Some return, some remain in suspension. There are corrupt allegations leveled against the department. We have been having an acting DG. I think there is no deputy DG. there was at some point, as allegations being said, at some point the acting DG was suspended for over 2 years and returned. They were missing, I did require to know how much monies were missing. I got information is 100 millions. I don't know how much is that. There's been a report before you, files missing. There's a report, legal services is dysfunctional, risk management is dysfunctional. There are a lot of posts that we have to fill. We have received a report about dysfunctionality of internal audit. All these are true reflections of this department. Deficiency and capacity is the name sometimes leveled to this department, which is true. Now, this has been inherited by us. We can't blame those that were there. These are the difficulties of the department, and these issues are deep-rooted. We have a responsibility, however, to remain this department as long as it is a department. There has been an issue, the issue of organogram has been raised. When we came in, we attempted to fill the vacancies, sort out the suspensions, but the DPSA has informed us that we can't just employ at this department because we have a problem of organizational design. Some will tell you there are those who are in position for degree but does not have a matric. Those are the issues we have to deal with without delay. There is a problem on HR, ICT. We have sought assistance from the Deputy President because he is a head of the PTT, which is responsible for DMV as well. We have asked for assistance with the transversal team to assist us to speed up the process of doing an organizational design to sort out the structure. Because you can see that there's nothing you can do without sorting out the structure, filling posts so that there are people in posts. There is this issue of deputy director. I admit it is a problem and it is a serious challenge. We have findings of Auditor General where there are attempts to rectify what happened, but it is a process that is difficult. I almost said, Comrade, Honorable Kanye House raised issues. He raised issues more especially on the acting DG. I must say that most of issues are news to me. We will investigate those issues. The only issue that I knew was that she was once suspended and was reinstated by the new minister who came in at the time. Then those including audit committee members who are not happy, who are saying something. There's an issue of outsourcing to companies on our responsibilities. I can tell you we are very much opposed to outsourcing because it brings more problems to the government. We remain convinced that whatever is for government, the government must remain responsible for that. There's been a presentation on audit action plan that has been made before you. You can see that whatever we do raise an issue of capacity. We have to attend on that. I agree. Honorable Shelembe speaks about the offices. They are on the agenda. We intend to relocate the offices from that place. Yes, it is not a place properly execute the duties. We accept the fact that at the end of the day, as the ministry, we are in charge of the department. The blame at the end of the day comes direct to us. That is why we have to, take responsibility, be in charge there, and correct mistakes. All the allegations, as I said, some we know, some we don't know, but all of them, because the portfolio committee is important to us as our oversight committee. You assist us in giving another information that we didn't have in mind. We will investigate. You are talking about the contract extended, all those issues. We'll make them, we will follow up and report back direct to this committee. Your question, Chair, I've heard your question about if it is ethical for CFO to present internal audit report. I'm saying it may not be ethical, but as you can see, the situation, we have to say something so that you find out exactly what is our status. I can say to the committee, before this committee, that the turnaround strategy is required, but we have a responsibility to make sure that we investigate some of the issues that have been raised before us here. They are serious issues. We can't take them light, but at the same time, we sometimes make no progress. But I undertake before this committee that whatever allegations that have been raised here, issues of our witness, dysfunctionality, we are going to account to this committee what has to be done, what actions have we taken to render the situation better. There are questions that have been raised here, direct to some officials. Can they please respond to this committee? Because we can't leave the questions unattended when they've been asked before this committee. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, DM. Thank you very much, DM. I will not give the officials to respond, but I would want the chairperson of the audit committee to say something in terms of the situation that we find ourselves in terms of what needs to be done, what is their commitment as an audit committee to turn around the situation. You see, It may be easy for Honorable DM to say they will work on these things. Now we're playing an oversight role. We don't want tomorrow. We are not futuristic. We want action now. We want work to be done now. We want things to be correct now. 12 years will not happen under the watch of this 7th Portfolio Committee, 7th Administration Portfolio Committee on Defense and Military Veterans. So can we get the chairperson of the Audit Committee to say something, because it comes back to them as an audit committee, including just on organizational design, where you have a CFO who's a subject of internal audit, reporting on internal audit, when there's an accounting officer in terms of fiduciary responsibilities who's supposed to report on internal audit matters, or the chairperson of the audit committee, not the CFO. That's a biscope. It's a biscope. It's not done in any oversight to auditing protocols. So can we just work on those things? Because we are turning this department into a mockery now. It's becoming a joke. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair. Maybe I should start with the presentation by the CFO. The Audit Committee is not an invitee to this meeting. But what has been presented by management is something that has gone through the Audit Committee, and we are aligned with what they have said in this report. However, as last minute I was asked to join the meeting, but we are not invitees to this meeting where we will be presenting that report. But again, let's talk about the internal audit matter that's come up with almost everyone. When we came on board, it was in the middle of the 23-24 financial year, and we were presented with a management report from AGSA that spoke to the fact that internal audit was not functional, as had been presented to them without the review of internal audit. And when we looked at the prior year management report, it said the same thing. There was a warm body in internal audit, Mr. Mofumadi, who reported to us that he had not done any work, had not produced any report in at least 3 years. He told us as the audit committee that he had not contracted with the department, reported that a service provider had been brought in to assist him, and under his administration, that service provider had done absolutely nothing. And as a result, that contract had to be terminated. So the audit committee, it became clear that there was no capacity to do internal audit work. When we say capacity, we're talking about skills. We're talking about the ability to do work and the willingness to do work. And we had someone who was boldly telling us that he had not done any work. And so we looked at whether we could use him as an administrator, because that's a position that exists within internal audit. Even with that, or even an audit controller, be the liaison person between external audit and management. Even with that, there was just failure to do the work. Something as simple as setting up meetings for the audit committee. He failed to do those things. We would sit, wait for a link, and he would tell us individually as audit committee members that you are the one person that is missing, that's not joined. When in fact there is no link, no one is on board. And in some instances, AGSA will be sitting in a different platform from management and from the audit committee. And we felt that we could not have someone like that, especially with the kind of management report that we were faced with, that had been presented to us by AGSA. And I think all the members have spoken about the importance of an internal audit function, that level of assurance, and that is what we were not getting. So our view is that the then acting DG, Admiral Fongani, spoke to him and said, we do not have a capacity within internal audit. And we actually told him in the meeting, this Mr. Mufumadi, in the meeting when he was actually giving us this kind of feedback, that we cannot have internal audit that is that dysfunctional. So we told Admiral Fongani to do something, and then the only solution that we had was to then outsource, because we were in the middle of a financial year. And the kind of report that we had said we needed the third level of assurance. So the only solution that was available was to outsource, because there was absolutely no capacity. Even the department, when contacted, could not assist. So this is why we went the outsource route. And for the 24-25 financial year, there has been an audit plan that was approved by the audit committee. We approved the terms of reference of that audit committee, of that service provider. And we're happy that it is aligned with what internal audit should be doing. And they've been reporting to us at each and every one of our meetings. And this is why in November, when we were approaching the end of their contract, because we saw how they had performed against the plan, the stuff that they had not completed, we said, you need to complete this, and there is going to be no additional fee. It's going to be inside the fee that you've already quoted us. This is why it was then extended to end of March, for them to complete the audit plan that they had committed to, that had been approved by the audit committee. Now, let me just go back to the issue of performance that is on the audit action plan. Management has reported those percentages. You can get that information, the detailed information from management as members have requested. But I think what will give the assurance is the SOR, which is the status of record review that has been done by LUSA. And as at end of Q3, it confirms what management has said here. That report, if it hasn't gotten to you yet, will get to you, where you will get the assurance that what management says they have done, the 80% that they are talking about are in the SOR that is coming from AGSA. So we are happy that what management is reporting here, what they have done, can be confirmed by AGSA through the SOR. Also, I think the critical issue that members need to understand is that of capacity within the department. So when we came on board, there was a moratorium on appointments. And our recommendation was that the Department of Public Service and Administration be approached to at least lift the critical positions like your HR head, like your legal. Because what we have is that we have warm bodies, but the critical post positions have not been filled in. So I think we all had the minister when he said that the Department of Public Service and Administration approved one position, that of DG. But the critical positions that, for instance, you need to have a skills audit. You need to have performance management done. But if you don't have that critical position of HR head, those things will not happen. So the issue of capacitation of the department, all the critical positions needs to happen. We have two people that are actually being spread thin, because if you look at the acting DG yourself, there are 3 DG positions, and there's a DG position, and one person that's manning all 4 positions. It is not sustainable, and we have reported this to the minister and recommended that the issue of scaling be done as a matter of urgency. So we note that the Public Service and Administration spoke about the organizational plan that needs to be in place. And that is something that needs to be done as a matter of urgency, because everything else hinges on that happening and having those positions, those critical positions being filled in. We meet with, we have ordinary meetings that happen quarterly with management, and these issues are issues that we raise and we ask for feedback on what management has done on recommendations. But again, on the issue of internal audit, the reasons that we gave for dismantling internal audit and going the outsourced route actually came up from external audit, from AGSA, on their comment. Exactly what we said were the reasons for us to dismantle internal audit, because of lack of capacity and willingness to do the work. I don't know if there's anything else, Chair, that you need me to.
No problem, Chairperson of the Audit Committee. There is no problem. I don't think that there's a need for us to allow the department to answer. What we can wait for as the oversight committee is for the minister to answer. There are questions we have posed to the department, which the minister and the deputy minister still has to answer to us. Some of it involves issues we are raising on the DMV today, which I think we have not received a reply from the minister. But before we move on to the next items, I see two hands. Let me allow the members first to make their comments before I move forward. Over to you, Honorable Niaus and Honorable Nantenja.
Thank you, Chair. I will be short. I will follow up on what Deputy Minister Nkunku shared with us on his views of the department, which is, of course, devastating in terms of his own assessment that the Deputy Minister responsible for the department has this view. But he concurs with the views that myself and other members of this Portfolio Committee on Defence and Military Veterans have expressed. Deputy Minister, I'm not in the business of making empty allegations against persons. I heard what you said, that you didn't know about some of the issues that I raised in my input. I undertake to provide you with a written report on those issues within 7 working days, which I hope will assist you, Deputy Minister, to take the necessary action. Our chair said that we are not in the business of just talking, we need real action. Deputy Minister and honorable members of this Portfolio Committee, real action will mean, 1, that we immediately suspend the Acting Director General because of the issues that I've raised and the lack of performance of this department. 2, that we immediately put the whole Department of Military Veterans under administration and take the necessary action to stop the outsourcing disaster and strengthen the capacity of the department internally. Lastly, I would like to ask the chair of the Audit Committee to please provide us with reports of the outsourced service provider that you utilized as an internal audit function, so that we can see the work that had been done. I think it is critically important that we understand what this outsourced service provider has done in order to make it possible for us to move away from the utilization of such outsourced service provider and strengthen the internal capacity that the chair of the audit committee spoke about forthwith. But, Honourable Chair, none of this will be possible as long as the meddling and intimidating presence of the Acting Director General remains in the department, and as long as the dysfunctional senior administration that are unable to deliver a proper process of administration, nor the services that are required for military veterans remain in place. So the acting DG must go. The department must be placed under administration. This is the two minimum steps that need to be taken in order for us to ensure that the Department of Military Veterans can remain a department, cannot be referred to as a project, as the Deputy Minister did, and will be turned around to become effective. Lastly, Chair, answer our questions. The Department of Military Veterans have not been answering our questions. There's a pile of questions that they've not answered. Today, we have added more questions to that pile, and I've certainly added one critical question. I want to see a report from the outsourced service provider about what work they have done in order to try and provide a function for internal audit. And I also want to know the name of the three outsourced service providers that have been referred to today, which strangely enough, the department keep on not telling us who they are. I want their names, I want their history, I want their directorships, I want to know what their ties are with who within the Department of Military Veterans. And I want those answers also within 7 working days, Chair. I'm prepared to come back with every single allegation that I've made today and back it up with facts in a document that will be provided to the Deputy Minister within 7 days. And I think the department ought to reciprocate by providing us now with the information that I've requested and all the other questions that have remained unanswered that still needs to be answered. This is the bare minimum if we want to see progress and to get this department out of the quagmire where it finds itself today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Nontenja.
Chairperson, I'm not going to dwell much on the audit committee, except to say the audit committee and the internal audit unit are two different things, and I will hold it there. But where I'm going is, Chairperson, I think we are failing on our duty. We are doing oversight on this department. This department must give us answers, not an audit committee. DMV has to answer the questions. That's what some of us requested from the start, that we have to go away with being asking questions that are not going to be answered. Can we be respected enough to be given answers to the questions that we have raised? We cannot do our oversight if we don't even know how long the internal audit unit has been in this mess. And why? And where is the person who is supposed to be the only person in that department, and why is that person the only person and working somewhere else? We need answers, Chairperson. Answers is what we need. And we are doing an oversight on DMV, not on the other things that we are talking to now. DMV is what is giving us the answers. We are dealing with their report, not the audit committee report. We are dealing with DMV report. Whatever they put there, they have to answer to that.
Thank you, Honorable Khotani. Point taken.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, can the DMV give us the full AG's management report, not a summary? Can we have that in full, in detail? A detailed one. Please, yeah, that's my take, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, Acting DG. Acting DG.
Chair?
Yes. Yes, members wanted you just in a summary to answer to some of the points they've raised. But I would request from my side as the chair that next week we will have the minister's response to questions raised by the committee as the first item. And I'm ready that we can tabulate that item as the only item so that we give the minister an opportunity to answer to all questions raised by the committee to the department, both defense and military veterans. But let me allow you just in few minutes to answer to points as raised by the committee on salient points, which needs your answer for now. But the biggest answer that we want it from the minister and the two deputy ministers. We will schedule it for next week, Wednesday, in our portfolio committee meeting, just to get those responses from the minister on issues that have been raised by the committee. Because whether it's an appointment of acting DG or appointment of DG or appointment of 43 positions, the executive that works full-time with the department needs to answer those things. Because I can speak to the CFO, I can speak to anybody, but I am not necessarily the employer. The employer is the executive. And the executive will have to answer us on some of the questions which are raised against the department, because we will not allow a situation where department goes unaccounting and without anything. The reason why we allowed the audit committee was to get more clarity on the relationship between what is happening in the department and what we need to do from our accounting side as the oversight committee. So I thought that we get that information, but let's allow the department just in 5 minutes to answer us. I know you may not have all the answers. Would expect you to provide it to your principal so that they can come and answer to the committee. Over to you, Acting DG.
Thank you, Chair. Just to indicate, Chair, that the whole governance ecosystem is compromised. We have an environment where we do not have internal audit, the CAE, risk, even the coordinator. We don't have legal. We only have within that environment compliance. As to when a CAE has been out of the department, I must indicate first that CAE was suspended not for work of internal audit, but at a certain stage, she was then made to act as a CFO, and the allegation that came from her actions as a CFO, ones that to a large extent compromise her. So it's she has been acting as CFO for 2 years, that is 2021, 22, 22, 23 financial year. And then she was suspended in 2023. And I must indicate that she was then first suspended by the then DG Mkolweni, but her suspension was lifted by the former minister Modise, and she came back to the department. And then she then was suspended by Admiral Hlongwane, and she's been dismissed since December 2024. I think we are the first to admit that our structure is in fact non-responsive. It's worse in areas of control. You will have not just limited to the internal audit, but in other areas around finance, around HR, we are highly compromised. We will provide the committee as requested with a management report, not just for 2024-25 financial year, but we'll go back as far as maybe 4 years, 5 years, so that the committee can actually get a full view. I think other areas raised will be answered by the executive authority. But I do want to respond to the issue of offices. The DMV head office has been, the lease agreement expired on the 30th November 2018. And since then, we've been acting on a month-to-month basis. And as previously alluded, we've been engaging with Public Works because we don't procure offices direct as a department. We work via Public Works. The recent meeting we've had was on the 16th of April 2025, just to indicate the desperation we have with Public Works. And we then subsequently wrote to the DG of Public Works, communicating our desperation for offices. And we were hopeful that sometime this year, maybe offices will be provided to the department. We have provided information to the portfolio committee on vacant funded positions. But as you will recall that there've been austerity measures imposed to government wide on issues of appointment. One of the issues that were then requested from the department by Public Service and Administration is our service delivery model. We've submitted the service delivery model, and we're hoping emanating from that will then be allowed to then fill the posts that are currently vacant and funded. Chair, the issue of the internal audit manager, I have sat with him, providing or consulting with him on him contributing within the environment of housing. And the reason why housing is because within housing, there is audit-orientated work that he could be doing. My consultation with him is not yet exhausted, but I am hopeful that we will then close that so that he can actually contribute and earn out of work in the department. Chair, the department is challenged with human capacity. It's not just within internal audit. It is compromised in general. And maybe the committee must then look beyond internal audit and just look at areas like legal. Really, if there is no legal in the department, then it really imposes problems. There's a question on when was the last conference of MK. Members will recall that in the past we had an MK MVA and an MK National Council. And the department was then instructed to organize a unification conference, which is now referred to as the conference in East London in 2021. That conference came with a MKLWV, not the department, but the conference itself. It brought them back, and it then said to the department there will be no MK MVA, and also there will be no MK National Council, but we'll have one unified MK Liberation War Veteran structure, which I must indicate that is currently still on interim, but it is a structure that has been recognized by the minister, and therefore we are compelled as a department to work with that structure. I think we will provide to the committee the amount paid to SKX, which is the service provider that was appointed, that we will provide the contracts of the outsourced service providers and the amounts, and probably even include the terms of reference for completeness of information provided to the committee. Chair, I think I want to then end there.
It will be appreciated if that report can come through. I still have outstanding items on the appointment, on the adoption of the draft program amendments after the budget was suspended by the courts. So I still have to approve the new draft program and consider minutes. Let me take this opportunity to thank you, DMV, for...
Chair, my hand is up.
Okay. All right, let me allow you to come in.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. I just wonder what the acting DSG is trying to say here. Because in your presentation, you quoted MKMVA and you didn't quote MKLWV. And the meeting in East London, it was not even clear. You can take out your documents. We do have documents that doesn't state the exact status of that meeting. We do have those minutes. Don't come and mislead the committee here. The resources that you spend the resources to a structure that is illegitimate. We do have everything. We do have everything on our hands to show that what we are saying right now, we are misleading the committee. Please don't mislead the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Khwekana. I think from the point of what the DG has said, including the inquiry that we're making, as part of further reports that you need to submit to us, the figures in relation to the service provider, the contract, the validity, and all those things, It will also include even, you say that the minister is recognizing the structure established by the East London Conference, so that we get those details for the benefit of Honorable Khwekane and the committee in terms of the status of all the structures and the expenditure related to them. So I was at a point where I wanted to thank you as the department for coming to the committee. In our case, we leave no stone unturned. We leave no situation unattended as a portfolio committee. We're going to be patient with you until you get it right. It can't be that for 14 years, the department was established, there was no functional internal audit, there was no functional accountability to the Auditor General of South Africa, there was no full accountability in terms of how taxpayers' money are used, because the simple conclusion that can be there if taxpayers' money are mismanaged is that there's corruption, and it's not a conclusion we would want to arrive at. We want to get the benefit as an oversight committee that work has been done. We are paying warm body salaries for work done, and there is accountability because we are serving the nation at the behest of the taxpayer and the voter, and those are our paymasters, and at all times we must respect their commitment and loyalty to the public by ensuring that we deliver services on the mandates we have. So we have concluded that the minister will come next week together with 2 deputy ministers to come and give us reports on all questions that have been asked. The committee raised that. On the 10th of April, I wrote a letter to the minister and 2 deputy ministers for them to answer us on all the questions that we have raised as a portfolio committee, because it's tiring to raise questions and we don't get answers, and we need to play our oversight. We come back again. Things we are discussing now with you as DMV, we've discussed them even last year. Filling of vacancies, internal audit. We've even discussed them with you when we were dealing with the oversight to your offices. We asked you 17 questions on that day. So far, part of those questions we asked are the same ones we are even asking today. So we are dilly-dallying as a department. There's no progress, and that is tiring because it bothers on the capacity of the department, and members are not wrong to even propose that we place you under Section 100 in terms of, we place you under administration in terms of Section 100 of the PFMA. Then we bring a transversal team to come and run that department because we are failing. But it's a decision that we'll take once we have received full report from the ministers. So let me thank you on behalf of the committee for coming over. But we don't only want you to tick boxes to come here. We want you to respect accountability, to respect protocol, to respect fiduciary responsibilities. The accounting authority in terms of us is the acting DG, Director General. So we don't expect a CFO in future who accounts to the accounting authority with the DG, and the CFO also is a subject matter for internal audit to come and present the report as if he's the head of internal audit or is the audit committee. It's not done. You must take this committee serious. We are also knowledgeable on some of these things. So we don't want to break or take anything away from anybody, but we want things to be done the right way. Thank you very much. We'll then move to our next item, the draft program. Secretariat, over to you.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon to all members and Chair. Just to ask, is it visible on your side, the program?
Yes, it's visible, Dr. Willemse.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, members, just to take you through the draft second term program. Members may recall that we adopted a previous second term program during the last meeting of the previous term, if I recall. Unfortunately, due to the changes in the budget and the need for the retabling of the budget, this has required complete changes to the broader parliamentary program. And we recently received outlines from Parliament, from the institution, on how to rework the program and new dates for the budget debates, for example, and by when the budget report should be considered. So based on this, there's an extended, very long parliamentary term ahead. And what we try to do in this program is to keep most of the agenda items we kept all of the agenda items that were in the previous adopted program. We kept them in this program. We just rearranged the dates. And then there are 2 additions. So I will just take members through the 2 additions for consideration. So today's meeting is done on the 7th of May. Then a new meeting was proposed for the 14th of May next week. The meeting, the first item here is a briefing by the Deputy Minister on details regarding the alleged extension of the Acting Director General of the Department of Military Veterans. Now, members, this specific proposed agenda item is from a meeting, is a resolution from this committee from one of our meetings in February, where this specific resolution was made that the Deputy Minister must provide feedback on this matter. Then we also proposed an update on the filling of vacancies in the DMV. The part I added in red here is based on this meeting for your consideration, members, that this update also be done by the Minister. And then thirdly, based on what was said in this meeting, that's why it's in red as well, is an update on all outstanding questions by the Minister or the Deputy Ministers. And lastly, then, a matter that also was raised in the previous term, we received back at Parliament's, the Parliamentary Legal Services legal opinion regarding individual and unannounced visits. We will distribute this to members later today, but suffice to say, it could be worth it. We suggest that it is worth it for Parliament's Legal Services to come and present this opinion and also be available should members have any questions based on this opinion. So that specific discussions, members, with those changes in red that we propose for next week. The rest of the program, we try to keep the same, even on the same days where possible, which includes the committee's visit to the Armscor Dockyard. And then we move to, on 28 May, to the briefing by the DoD on its amended strategic plan, annual performance plan, and budget. Now, that presentation will depend on the new budget. The members will recall that we already received 2 weeks ago, we received the department's strategic plan, annual performance plan, and that's why I suggest perhaps a virtual meeting where just an update can be provided of what changes there are in the budget and the strategic plan. From then we have the normal flow, where the next week we will have the DMV and the Castle Control Board. The week thereafter, briefing by Armscor and by Denel on their strategic plans. The week thereafter, on the 18th of June, also a meeting that was on the list, the issue around informal settlements, encroaching on DoD on SANDF basis, and that this also be held with the Department of Human Settlements to provide input. The week thereafter is the joint meeting with the PC on Public Works and Infrastructure on building and maintenance infrastructure, maintenance of SANDF infrastructure. Then the 2nd of July, here we consider the adoption of the budget report. So it gives us time after all the debates and all the discussions at committee level to draft the budget report, to send it to members and give members enough time to go through it and provide their input. And then on the 2nd of July, we do the consideration of the budget report in preparation then for members the next week on the 9th of July to partake in the budget debate, which is at this stage for this committee scheduled for the 9th of July. Then there's one slot after that on the 16th of July that we can fill. And here we suggest, this was on the schedule as well, an update by the Minister, Armscor and Denel together on the issue around Project Hoefyster and the way forward with this project following the final recommendations by the to the Armaments Acquisition Council. And then in green here, I highlighted this in green because this is a new proposal that during the same meeting we also get a brief update from the department regarding the status of environmental warehouses for the SANF's prime mission equipment. The reason we thought this would be valuable to include is that this was previously one of the recommendations in the BRRR by this committee, that attention should be paid to the status of these warehouses. So an update on this could well be worth the committee's while. Chair, members, basically the same program with those 2 additions for next week, and the warehouses issue, I'll hand back to you, Chair, for consideration and input. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is the draft program. Straightforward according to what you requested, but I'll move that we get a mover and a seconder. Over to you, Honorable Niels.
Yes, thank you, Chair. First of all, let us thank Dr. Willem Janse van Rensburg and the Secretariat for the way in which they have handled this redrafting of the program, especially in the light of the challenges that we had to face because of the problems with the budget. Secondly, let me remind you, Chair, that I raised an issue before, and it was a matter that went to the parliamentary legal advisors, and that was an attack that had been launched against myself and other members of this portfolio committee when we raised concerns about some of the conduct and also qualifications of the acting Director General, Ms. Martha. Now, I do not want to be fixated on Ms. Martha, but the principal, Chair, we need to discuss. And that is when we as a committee carry out our oversight function, that those who are officials in the Department of Defense and Military Veterans and who have to answer to our questions, that is in terms of the role that we have as members of Parliament, as a committee of Parliament, it is a legal responsibility that they have. They then subsequently, if they don't like the questions that we ask, go into the media and attack members of our committee. So, Chair, please, I must insist that you must find a place somewhere in this program where that issue can be discussed, because the legal advice that we got was inconclusive, and your own response to that was that it is necessary for us as a committee to have a further discussion on it to determine how we handle such situations. But beyond that, Chair, if that can be accommodated, I would like to propose adoption of this draft program, and once again, thank the administration for excellent work done. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Niels. I think there is an item next week that deals with the legal extension of the same acting director. I'm sure it's one of the questions we have raised with the minister. I think we will just rewrite to them after today's meeting to also give us an answer on that particular point as the executive in terms of how this matter was dealt with, the one you are raising. I remember it very well.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes. Honorable Nontenja.
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Shelembe will follow.
Focusing on next week's meeting, yes, it says we will be briefed about the extension of the acting Director General. But on the other hand, Chair, we cannot really pretend not to hear what's out there about the acting Director General. I think the department needs, the minister needs to address all of that, not just the extension, but all this noise that is out there around her name needs to be addressed. Secondly, Chair, I don't think it's proper that the minister, when she decided to grace our meeting, she's in a hurry somewhere. I understand that the responsibilities of DMV are now given to DM Kungo. But on the other hand, we were all listening to DM Kungo today. I don't want to go there. And in the previous meeting, he stated that all the handover is not properly done. He doesn't know some of the things. We still need the minister. She might have the deputies, but at some point, we still need her. There are things that are touching on her a lot. And also to say, while I thank our secretariat and administrative people for this program, can we make sure that we follow up on the outstanding questions so that we receive them not on the day of the meeting? We must make sure that we get all this beforehand so that we go there. If there are any further questions, we are able to raise those. And lastly, if you could please include the DRC report so that it doesn't fall on the cracks. The minister promised to give us something in writing that outlines what's going on and what are the timeframes. When can we start expecting our sons and daughters back into the country? Things like that. Can we include it there as something that we must get that documentation before so that if there are any questions, the minister can be able to brief us on those. With those few words, Chair, I second the program.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nontenja, Honorable Shelembe.
No, thank you.
The Secretariat is...
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. Well, I support, the program as proposed by Honorable Carl Niehaus. But Chairperson, I want to raise just my personal concern as well, being a member of this committee. That, people, when they come to this meeting, they are invited to come to the meeting to address, the issues on the agenda. Now, I have a problem here when we take much time discussing people that this one has done this one has done this. If there are allegations against any particular person, I think there should be a platform and the procedure that must be followed to deal with the person. But now, what's going to happen now in future? We'll end up getting people invited to the meeting, and I would say, no, look, I don't like to see that person in this meeting, and that may divide their house. But Chair, I'm just appealing to you to say, if an issue, is outside the agenda, please take note of that, and it must be dealt at a relevant platform. We are very concerned about the issue of the DMV. We are very concerned about the issue of, corruption or whatever in that department. But now if we change, our committee and become like, a disciplinary, or it becomes like an investigative committee, I think we'll take much time without addressing the issues on the agenda. So like today, if I look at it, what was the meeting for? What was the purpose of the meeting? So it's up to you as the chairperson to ensure that what we discuss is in the agenda. That is my play and personal view. I'm not supporting what is happening there, all the allegations, but I don't think this platform is just to deal with that. How many people are here? And then whatever we discussed here, it becomes the issues of this committee, and it will be used, in many platforms to say, this is what the committee is saying, and the committee is spending much on the issues that are affecting the military veterans. That is my request, Chairperson. I'm not protecting anyone, but let's do it in a proper way that will bring, will promote the dignity and integrity of this committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your concern, Honorable Shelembe. It's only fair. What you are raising, it's correct. I'm sure we'll have to look at it because we don't have other authorities. Our authority is oversight. Honorable Hala, I saw your hand. Honorable Hala. Thank you very much, honorable members.
Hi, Chair.
Okay, Honorable Hala.
No, thanks. No, to be precise on what was said by Honorable Shelem is the way Honorable Niehaus addressed the acting DG Mafu. There's another platform to do that, not in the committee to just go straight direct to her. I would imagine if she answers back, we'll all say, no, she's not disciplined. Let us not be personal. Let's raise points that are being discussed in the committee and raise those that are personal outside the committee. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, on a point of order.
So go order.
Yeah,
Chair, on a point of order, we are dealing with the functioning of the Department of Military Veterans. The Acting Director General is the most important administrator of that department. The concerns that I raised are not personal, they're about her capacity to be able to function in that role, and we've seen the disaster that the Department of Military Veterans finds itself in. So I object. I did not make this a personal matter. I made it a matter of administration. And the honorable members who raised this issue now must certainly have heard when I committed to provide to the Honorable Deputy Minister with a detailed report about the issues that I've raised. These issues make the Acting Director General incompetent to be able to run the Department of Military Veterans. And I would be in dereliction of my duties as a member of this committee to have raised it. So my point of order is I object to any aspersion or any allegation that this was a matter of personal attack. It was directly part of the work of this committee, and the issues that I raised were absolutely pertinent to the work of this committee and the failure of the Department of Military Veterans to be able to operate. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I think this matter is going to be discussed.
Chair, my hand is up.
Yeah, because I would not want the committee to fight over this part.
My hand is up, Chair. No, I'm saying something.
Okay, my plea is that let's take this matter into
Chair,
an
my hand
in-committee.
is
We
up.
still
My
have
chair-
everybody
Chair,
online.
my hand is up. Chair, my hand is up.
Okay. Before I'm told that there are other officials in the meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Chair. We are not alone. This is not an in-committee.
Yeah, this is not an in-committee meeting. I would request that we defer all matters related to this matter to next week, after we are in a briefing session with the Deputy Minister Mukongo on the report and the Minister, so that we deal with it at that level. Because I think now, if as a committee we are going to discuss it here, it borders on rights of people as employees, it borders on loss of contracts in terms of contracts of employment, it borders on other aspects, just humanly, to discuss things this sensitive about a senior official in front of junior officials, that done by the committee. I would humbly request that it not be done in this way, so that all the rights of everyone are protected. And as a committee, through our own decorum, we get an opportunity to get a briefing from the minister and the deputy ministers on some of the aspects which affect the DMV department. And then upon that, as a committee, we make a way forward and take proper decisions. That would be my humble request. Let's deal with the item that is before us. It was the consideration of the draft program and deal with it, because other related issues are going to delay us. There was a mover and a seconder, and the draft program is being adopted. Can we move to the next item in that understanding, please? The next item is the consideration of minutes. Please, Secretariat, over to you.
Good afternoon, Chair, members. These are minutes of the 2nd of April, where we had a joint briefing by the National Treasury and the DOD on its engagements to develop a new human resources strategy to ensure force rejuvenation in accordance with the 6th Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Defense and Military Veterans recommendation, as well as update on plans by the DOD to establish memorandum of understanding with other government departments to assist with exiting SANDF members to aid in the new HR strategy. This was the attendance register. And this is page 2, page 3, page 4, and page 5. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Nandi Park. Can we get any matters arising from the minutes before we get a mover and a seconder? Page 1.
Chair.
Honorable Ate.
Chair, yes. Just on the resolutions and actions of the committee. We have that in 7, right at the end. But the way it is, it's there, it hangs in the air, there's no deadline, there's no time for report back. I have the feeling this will just remain part of the minutes and fall somewhere off the table. I feel that we should have a follow-up on this. We need to know, specifically with the severe budget constraints that we are in, we need to know that something is going on at that level. I would love us to, well, we can't change the minutes because we didn't put a date there in, we didn't discuss it there, but as a follow-up, I would like us then to perhaps address the minister and perhaps both ministers involved, finance as well as defense, to ask for them for progress and perhaps a roadmap to get somewhere. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Hatting. I'm sure we'll, in our quest to get answers from the executive, find the possibility of also raising this matter with them in our next week meeting.
Thank you, Chair. If it can then be minuted in your minutes of today as such. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It will be minuted.
Chair?
Yes, Honorable Kwekane, and I'll also give over to Dr. Willem van Rensburg. Honorable Kwekane, I see your hand. Okay, Dr. Willem Jansen van Rensburg, over to you.
Chair, sorry for raising the hand, and just to provide quick input on that matter. Following that, I know there's no deadline in the minutes that the committee agreed upon, but following that meeting, we wrote a letter to both the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Defense, asking them to provide us with a date in the 3rd quarter, early in the 3rd quarter, where it would be possible for them to provide this joint briefing. And we also gave them a deadline date in that letter. I can't recall the exact date now, but they must answer us with a specific date before before end of I think it is June, if I recall correctly. So just to appease members that there has been progress in that regard, and we put the ball in the court of the two departments and hope to have a briefing from them early in the third quarter on the matter.
Okay, no problem. I think the point is noted. We'll have to make a follow-up of the receiving the answers from the ministers. Can we get a mover and a seconder for the minutes?
Chair, I'll move.
I second, Chair.
Seconded. Thank you very much. Can we go to the second set? Nandipa?
Yes, Chair. Can you see it, Chair?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. These are minutes of the 23rd of April. The agenda was the briefing by the DOD on its strat plan, annual performance plan, and budget for the 25-26. This is the attendance register. And this is page 2. Page 3. Page 4. And page 4 is the last one.
Thank you. Before, just on this one, I just wanted to find out, because what we discussed here was set aside by the court, was suspended by the court. Dr. Willems, are we still valid or within the law to consider these minutes?
Chair, the minutes are merely a reflection of the discussions of the committee. So adopting the minutes I don't think have any legal implications. So it's just a reflection of the discussions.
Okay. I just wanted.
Chair.
Yes.
Chair, I cannot agree with Dr. Willem Jansen van Rensburg, because there are issues in the minutes. For instance, I refer to the resolutions and actions, and those are reports that should have been information that should have been provided to the committee. Certainly, that cannot fall away. So I agree that the rest of the discussion on the budget, yes, but the resolutions that we've taken of the documents that should be provided to the committee is valid and has got a legal status. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, no problem. Then, with that advice, can we get any points on the minutes before we move for adoption? Any matters arising?
Chair, just point 6. I just need a follow-up on that. Have we received anything? Is there any follow-up on that?
Point 6.
No, not yet. We wrote to them, I think 3 days ago, to remind them about the resolution that they were waiting for the documents that they're supposed to send, and till today there's nothing.
I think for preparation of next week meeting, we need to rewrite another letter to them, just to notify them that we want them next week before the committee, but also on issues that we have raised with them, which are outstanding as the executive, so that we don't have this piling up of questions and answers, and there is no way forward. So I think we can take it to next week meeting. Can we get a mover and a seconder for the minutes?
Chair, I'll move.
There's a movement.
Second.
Seconded. The minutes are adopted. As such, with all those considerations, Dr. van Rensburg, of what is before the courts of law, with all those considerations. This brings us to the end of our meeting. Let me take this opportunity to thank all the members, all the support staff, the secretariat, the minister, and
Sorry,
both
Chair.
ministers.
Sorry, Chair. There's one announcement.
Okay.
I received an email from the International Relations Department saying that the UK delegation would like to share knowledge on the just transition to renewable energy, explore trade opportunities, and discuss key international security matters, among others, with the portfolio committee. So they would like to find out if the committee is available to meet them during the week of the 19th until the 23rd of May, during that week, if the committee is available to meet them.
Yes, indeed, we can avail ourselves as a committee to meet jointly with the IR and them. As our guest part, we have the engagement of the 21st of March, which is the presentation of the new fiscal framework as directed by the Western Cape High Court of the Minister of Finance. So the date of the 21st goes out. We can consider any date between the 19, 20, 20, 22, 23. But I think
it's not a joint meeting, Chair. It will be the committee and the UK delegation only, not with the portfolio committee on IR. It won't be a joint, it will be the committee and the delegation.
Okay.
Yes.
We can conclude it here. Which date do we take, honorable members?
Chair, I've raised my hand.
Okay. All right.
Chair, as I've done before, when these invitations came to us, from myself as a member of the Economic Freedom Fighters, I will reserve our position on participating in such a meeting. Also understanding the international context in which such meetings takes place, the consequences it may have, and even the reactionary programs it may have. So for now, I reserve my right as a member of the Economic Freedom Fighters. I will subject the decision of the EFF on my participation in such an engagement with a committee from the United Kingdom to the leadership of the Economic Freedom Fighters. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The point is noted. Honorable Monteja? Yes.
Chairperson, I think we must give this to the Secretariat to go and identify the dates and announce it on the group. We cannot decide it now and here. They must come up with a date, and those who can be there will be there, I think.
Okay. Thank you for that. All right. I think let's take it through the conclusion of Honorable Nontenja, that we consider the dates based on the activities, but I suggest that we look at either the 22nd or the 23rd, because all dates before, they are going to be scheduled for preparations of the budget adoptions, and political parties' engagement, caucuses are going to be busy before the 21st. So I think we consider any date, the Secretariat can consider any date between the 22nd and the 23rd, which can allow us to be flexible. But the days before, let's give them to our parties, because all parties will be preparing for that new budget proposal by the minister, as directed by the court, that it be done within 30 days.
Chairperson, if I may, it's just on the 22nd is normally the morning, normally reserved for caucus, and I see that there's a plenary sitting on the afternoon, and then on the 23rd we have the sitting of committee sitting of the Joint Standing Committee. So the only opening there appears to be either at Thursday morning, the 22nd, between 8 and say 9:30, or the afternoon of the 23rd.
Okay, let's leave it to the secretariat to advise. They will come back to us in our group, in the Defense Portfolio Committee group on WhatsApp. We'll come back to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Honorable members, everybody, staff members, support staff, secretariat, thank you very much for your participation in today's meeting. All outstanding matters, secretariat, let's write to the ministry to sensitize them. Whatever reports they have ready, can we distribute it immediately, including the legal opinion as received, including all outstanding matters that we agreed on in this meeting. Other related matters which has to do with our relationship with our employees, will allow members of the executive to engage on that, and where possible in next week meeting to give us a report on the issues related to staff. Thank you very much. May God Almighty bless all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.